The teacup slipped from Nala Ob's shaking hands, crashing onto the floor in a scatter of porcelain shards that mirrored the shatter in her chest. But it wasn't the sound that made her body tremble like a leaf in a storm. It was the words seeping through the thin wall behind her bedroom door, words that stabbed deep, bleeding truth she had long tried to deny. Her fiancé, Omari Ade, the man she had dragged from death's jaws, was laughing, his voice thick with betrayal. And Blessing, her supposed best friend, was laughing too, their voices twined like vipers plotting poison. Nala pressed a trembling hand over her mouth, trying to still the sob rising in her throat. They were speaking about tomorrow, her wedding day, about humiliating her in front of the whole Lagos community. "I can't wait to be free of that blind burden," Omari sneered, his voice dripping with cruelty. 3 years wasted on a woman who can't even see my face. Tomorrow, I'll finally be rid of her. Blessing's giggle cut through Nala like a blade. "The blindfold was a blessing in disguise," she said, her voice sugar-sweet. "At least she couldn't see us together all these years." Nala's body gave way, and she sank onto the floor among the shattered pieces, the porcelain edges digging into her palms, drawing tiny crescents of blood. She pressed her hands to her eyes, the hot tears that no one believed she could shed blurring her vision. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps, each one feeling like swallowing glass. This man, Omari, the man she had dragged from a burning car wreck, risking her own life to save his, the man she had nursed through broken ribs and burnt skin, was throwing her away like trash. And the woman she had called sister, who had braided her hair and whispered secrets over steaming plates of jollof rice, was in on the betrayal. Poor, blind, useless Nala, Omari mocked, his voice a venomous whisper. "Tomorrow, when she walks down the aisle in that ridiculous outfit I've arranged instead of her wedding clothes, everyone will laugh. We'll tell them all that you, Blessing, are my true love. That blind girl will be humiliated before the entire community, and no one will blame you," Blessing added gleefully. "Who would expect a successful man like you to tie himself to a blind woman forever?" Nala choked back a sob. Her throat burned. Her hands curled into fists, nails biting into flesh. They didn't know, they couldn't know, that her mother, who sold yams in the market in faded wrappers, was in fact a princess in disguise, that her father, who worked as a security guard, was one of the richest oil magnates in Nigeria, quietly watching, testing Omari's character from the shadows. They didn't know that Nala's blindness was a choice. 3 years ago, after the accident, the smoke and glass had stolen her sight. Months of surgeries and treatments, hidden in her uncle's private hospital, had restored it. But her family had suggested a test. Continue wearing the blindfold. See if Omari loved her. Not the wealth and status that came with her name. Now, she had her answer. Nala's fingers found the edge of the white cloth. Slowly, deliberately, she lifted it, blinking into the dim light of her modest room. Her reflection in the cracked mirror stared back. Clear, expressive eyes, red-rimmed from tears, yes, but fierce with a storm of emotions. "This will not be a wedding," she whispered, her voice thick with pain and resolve. "This will be a day of reckoning." That night, as the compound settled into uneasy silence, Nala slipped out into the Lagos night, without her blindfold. For the first time in 3 years, the air touched her bare face. The night smelled of roasted suya, diesel fumes, and distant music. Lanterns glowed over the market stalls, casting warm golden halos on the faces of vendors packing up their wares. Nala's heart pounded as she walked the bustling streets, not as the pitiable blind fiancé, but as herself. She bought a string of genuine coral beads, small, precious, a symbol of her true heritage. The vendor's eyes widened at the crisp N1000 notes she handed over, but Nala barely noticed. She was already lost in thought, plotting her quiet rebellion. But danger lurked in the dark. "Such a pretty lady shouldn't be walking alone at night," came a rough voice behind her. 3 men blocked her path, their eyes raking over her in a way that made her skin crawl. "Please, let me pass," she said, her voice steady but her hands trembling. "First, you buy us drinks." The leader grinned, grabbing her wrist with painful force. Nala tried to pull away. Panic welled up in her chest. "The lady asked you to let her go." The voice that spoke was calm, deep, authoritative. It sliced through the air like a blade. The men turned to see a tall figure, broad-shouldered, sharp-suited with the quiet power of a man used to being obeyed. His eyes flashed, a warning in the dim light. "Mind your business," the thug spat. But the man didn't flinch. "The lady is my business now. Leave." The men hesitated, then melted into the shadows, muttering curses. Nala clutched her wrist, red marks blooming where the man's fingers had dug into her skin. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. The man's face softened. "Are you all right?" "Not from them," she replied, unable to stop a tear from slipping down her cheek. His gaze lingered, thoughtful. "I'm Michael Oliver," he said. Her breath caught. Michael Oliver. The name was well known. The heir to Oliver Telecom, one of Nigeria's largest telecommunications empires. "I'm Nala," she replied quietly, deliberately hiding her surname. "And I don't want to go home. Not tonight." Michael's brows lifted, but he didn't press. Instead, he offered her a clean handkerchief. "What's troubling you?" he asked, his voice gentle, almost too kind for a stranger. And just like that, the dam inside Nala broke. Tears spilled, unstoppable as the weight of the day crashed over her. "I'm supposed to be getting married tomorrow," she sobbed, words tumbling out like a flood. "But I just heard my fiancé and my best friend planning to humiliate me. They think I'm blind. They don't know." Michael listened without interrupting, his expression thoughtful, protective. As Nala's sobs quieted, he handed her a bottle of water from his car, his voice calm and firm. "Whatever happens tomorrow," he said, "remember, you have the power. Don't let them take it." Nala looked at him, truly looked at him, for the first time in years, seeing someone without the blindfold of fear. And in that moment, she knew. Tomorrow was not the day she would be broken. Tomorrow was the day they would see. The smoke damaged my eyes, but my sight returned after many surgeries. My family suggested I continue wearing the blindfold as a test of his character. Nala looked up at Michael, bracing herself for disbelief, but found only deep, attentive concern in his gaze. "Today, I overheard him with my supposed best friend," she said, voice trembling. "They've been having an affair behind my back. They're planning to replace me at my own wedding, to humiliate me." Her voice cracked under the weight of betrayal. Michael's jaw tightened, his fingers flexing. "A man who would do such a thing is no man at all," he said. "He doesn't deserve your tears, Nala." She gave a broken laugh. "I've given him 3 years of my life. 3 years of bumping into furniture, of being led around by the hand, enduring pity and whispers, all to test if he truly loved me. And now," Michael said softly, "you have your answer." Nala nodded, eyes brimming again. "The worst part is, I truly loved him. I thought he was worth saving, worth building a life with." Michael leaned forward, his voice low and firm. "You deserve someone who would love you blindfolded or not. Someone who sees your value here." He gently touched her chest. "Not just here." He smiled, gesturing to her eyes. His words wrapped around Nala's heart like a healing balm. "But," she clenched her fists, "that's a beautiful thought, Michael. But right now, I don't want love. I want justice." Michael nodded. "What will you do?" Nala sat straighter. Her voice steadied. "I'll go through with the wedding. I'll let them think their plan is working. Then, when the time is right, I'll reveal everything." Michael hesitated. "You'll face them alone?" A wild idea formed in Nala's mind, and before fear could stop her, she blurted, "Not if you'll help me. Me, come to my wedding tomorrow. When they try to replace me with Blessing, step forward. Pretend to be a wealthy suitor who wants to marry me instead." Michael blinked. Then, instead of laughing, he nodded slowly. "You want to show them what they've thrown away. I want to teach them that character isn't measured by how people treat those they admire, but how they treat those they think they don't need." Michael reached for her hand. "It would be my honor to stand by your side, Nala. Let's give them a day they'll never forget." Their hands met, and in that moment, something sparked. Not romance, not yet, but hope. For the first time since overhearing Omari's betrayal, Nala felt something stronger than grief. That night, she returned to the aid compound. She slipped through the gates unnoticed, tucked her blindfold back into place, and lay in bed, with her heart pounding, not from fear, but from anticipation. Dawn broke with a golden burst over the compound. Outside her window, women sang traditional wedding songs. The aroma of Yolaf rice, pepper soup, and grilled meat floated through the air. Aso ebi fabric in bright hues flapped from lines. It was, by all accounts, a perfect wedding morning. Inside, Nala sat on the edge of her bed, blindfold in hand. Today was meant to be the happiest day of her life. Instead, it would be the day truth took center stage. 3 years she had endured this test, a test that revealed far more than she'd imagined. A knock interrupted her thoughts. She quickly wiped her eyes, tied on the blindfold, and said softly, "Come in." Mama Aid entered, 2 attendants behind her holding what should have been Nala's wedding attire. "Good morning, my daughter," she cooed, her voice thick with false affection. "Are you ready for your special day?" "Yes, Mama," Nala replied, forcing herself to sound meek. "I've been waiting so long." Mama Aid tisked softly, "Such a blessing. That my son is so generous-hearted. Not every man would marry a blind girl." Each word was a dagger, but Nala smiled. "He's been very kind." They handed her the garments. Nala's fingers brushed cheap, gaudy fabric. It wasn't the Aso Oke she'd selected. It was a costume, a joke. "This doesn't feel like my dress," she said. "Oh, hush, dear," Mama Aid chuckled. "It's beautiful. Trust me." Nala nodded. "Thank you, Mama." Once alone, she locked the door and collapsed, not in grief, but in fury. From beneath the mattress, she pulled her hidden phone and texted the only number saved. "Uncle, it's happening. Inappropriate clothes. Public humiliation planned. Noon. Is Michael Oliver trustworthy?" The reply came swiftly. "He checks out. Son of Oliver Telecommunications. Good man. If he offers help, accept it. Will arrive at the crucial moment." Another message. "Your brother. Says, make them pay." A small smile broke across her face. Nala peered out the window. In the courtyard, Omari and Blessing whispered like thieves. Blessing sparkled in Nala's true wedding attire, blue and gold, woven with insult. Nala's heart ached, not for Omari, but for Blessing. They had once shared sisterhood. "You betrayed everything," she whispered. "For him." Omari glanced up, and Nala ducked. His smirk twisted her stomach. But then she remembered Michael's hand in hers. She stood tall. From her small bag she drew coral beads. Real, heavy, ancestral. Her true dress, smuggled in piece by piece, and most crucially, documents. A knock. "Nala, are you decent?" came Blessing's voice. Nala hid everything and adjusted the blindfold. "Yes." Blessing entered. "My dearest friend, aren't you excited?" Nala smiled sweetly. "So excited. I can hardly believe it." As Blessing applied clownish makeup, Nala remained still, her secret smile growing. Outside, the drums began. The wedding was about to begin. Let them mock. Let them laugh. The reckoning was near, and the truth would blaze brighter than any fabric or fire. "You look special." Nala touched her face, pretending to feel the makeup she couldn't see. She knew without looking that she resembled a clown more than a bride. "Thank you," she said softly. "You've always been such a good friend to me." Something flickered in Blessing's eyes. Guilt, perhaps, or a moment of hesitation. But it vanished, as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by cold determination. "The guests are arriving," Blessing said, helping Nala to her feet. "It's almost time." Nala allowed herself to be led from the room toward the courtyard where her fate awaited. With each step, her resolve strengthened. Behind her blindfold, her eyes were clear and focused. Today would indeed be a wedding day, just not the one Omari and Blessing expected. The courtyard of the Ioi compound had transformed into a spectacle of color and celebration. Canopies adorned with flowing fabrics shielded guests from the midday sun. Platters of steaming jollof rice, peppered snails, and grilled fish created a feast for the senses. The air vibrated with the rhythm of talking drums and the joyful ululations of women dressed in matching Ankara fabrics. Into this vibrant scene, Nala was led like a sacrificial lamb. The garish outfit they had forced upon her, a poorly fitted, overly revealing dress with mismatched colors, clung awkwardly to her body. The makeup Blessing had applied made her look like a caricature rather than a bride. Her hair had been styled carelessly with uneven parts and loose strands falling across her blindfolded face. The moment she stepped into view, a hush fell over the gathering. Then came the whispers, sharp and cutting like tiny knives. "Is that the bride? What is she wearing? Poor blind girl doesn't even know how ridiculous she looks. Omari must truly pity her to go through with this. Each word pierced Nala's heart, but she kept her head high, her steps measured. Behind her blindfold, her eyes remained dry. She had cried enough tears in private. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. Mama Aid led her to the center of the gathering where Omari waited. His hand, when she reached for it, was cold and limp in hers. She could sense his barely contained amusement, could almost feel the smirk on his face as he surveyed her appearance. "My beautiful bride," he announced loudly, his voice dripping, with mockery only she could detect. "Isn't she a vision on this special day?" Uncomfortable murmurs rippled through the crowd. Even those who didn't know the truth sensed something was wrong. A respected elder stepped forward, his brow furrowed in concern. "Young man," he addressed Omari, "is this how we honor a bride in our tradition? Where is her proper attire?" Omari's grip on Nala's hand tightened painfully. "Elder, my bride chose this outfit herself. In her condition, she cannot see how it looks. Should I deny her choices simply because they are unusual?" The lie was so blatant, so cruel, that Nala had to bite her tongue to keep from exposing him immediately. "Not yet," she reminded herself. "Not until everyone sees his true character." "I thought you would be pleased," Nala said softly, playing her role. "I asked Blessing to help me look beautiful for you today." At the mention of Blessing's name, several heads turned toward the woman standing slightly apart, resplendent in her blue and gold ensemble. The ensemble that should have been Nala's. Omari cleared his throat. "Speaking of Blessing," he said confidently, "I have something to say to all of you." He dropped Nala's hand and stepped away from her, leaving her standing alone in the center like an abandoned child. The sudden isolation made her fingers tremble. For a moment, real vulnerability broke through her carefully constructed facade. "Friends and family," Omari proclaimed, "I have tried to be a good man. When Nala was blinded saving me from that accident 3 years ago, I felt responsible. I stayed with her out of duty and compassion." Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. Nala could feel their eyes on her, pitying, condescending. But can a man truly be expected to tie himself forever to a woman who cannot see his face? Who cannot take care of herself, much less a home or children? Gasps of shock mingled with nods of agreement. Nala's hands curled into fists at her sides, nails digging half-moons into her palms. "A man needs a whole woman by his side," Omari continued, growing bolder. "A woman who can support him, not burden him." He gestured toward Blessing, who stepped forward with a triumphant smile. "Blessing has been by my side throughout these difficult years. She has shown me what true partnership can be." Nala swayed, on her feet, crushed under the public humiliation. She had prepared for this moment, yet the reality still stunned her with its cruelty. "So I ask you all," Omari said dramatically, "who should stand by my side today? This blind, useless woman who can't even dress herself properly?" He pointed at Nala. "Or this beautiful, capable woman who can be a true wife to me?" He pulled Blessing close, kissing her cheek as the crowd gasped. "Let those who think I should marry Nala raise their hands," Omari challenged. In the silence that followed, only one elderly woman in the back raised a trembling hand, then quickly lowered it. "And those who believe I deserve happiness with Blessing?" A forest of hands rose. Nala heard Mama Ade's voice ring out. "My son deserves a whole woman, not a broken one." The words cut deeper than any wound. Broken, useless, burden, their judgment, pressed down on her chest. For a terrible moment, doubt crept in. What if Michael didn't come? What if she truly stood alone? "Then it's settled," Omari announced. "Remove this blind woman from my wedding and bring forth my true bride." Rough hands grabbed Nala's arms. She recognized the touch. Omari's. Cousins, now treating her like trash. "Please," she begged, letting real tears fall. "Omari, after everything we've been through." "We're even now," he snapped. "Get her out of here." As they dragged her toward the gates, a commotion erupted. Luxury cars pulled up, doors slammed, and murmurs of awe spread. Is that the Oliver crest on those cars? The hands on Nala's arms suddenly loosened. Michael Oliver strode forward, impeccably dressed in richly embroidered agbada that spoke of nobility. Behind him, an entourage carried ornate boxes and briefcases. Michael's eyes found Nala instantly. Disheveled, trembling. But unbroken, his expression darkened with righteous anger. "Release her," he commanded. The men dropped her arms immediately. Omari stepped forward, his confusion rising. "Who are you to interrupt my wedding?" Michael ignored him, walking straight to Nala. He steadied her, then faced the crowd. "I am Michael. Oliver, heir to Oliver Telecommunications," he announced, "and I've come to propose marriage to Miss Nala Obi with a bride price worthy of her value." Gasps echoed through the courtyard. "This woman," Omari sputtered, gesturing at Nala. "This, blind. Worthless. Choose your next words carefully," Michael said, his tone quiet but deadly. "The woman you call worthless is worth more than your entire existence." He gestured, and his entourage opened their cases, revealing stacks of money, deed papers, and dazzling jewelry. "I offer 1 billion naira as bride price for Miss Nala's hand," Michael declared, "plus property deeds across Lagos and jewelry crafted by the finest artisans." The crowd erupted in exclamations, their earlier mockery silenced by awe. Mama Ade's mouth hung open in disbelief. Blessing clutched Omari's arm so tightly her knuckles turned white. "This is absurd," Omari finally managed. "She's blind. She's the woman I choose," Michael stated simply. He turned to Nala, taking her hands in his. "If she will have me." The tenderness in his voice made Nala's heart flutter unexpectedly. This was supposed to be an act, a performance to teach Omari a lesson. Yet Michael's touch felt like a lifeline in a storm. "Yes," she whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "I will have you." Omari, red-faced with humiliation and rage, stepped forward. "This is clearly a trick. Look at her," he shouted, pointing at Nala's clothing. "She's wearing the outfit of a prostitute beneath that coat. She has no shame, no morals. That's why I rejected her." Blessing rushed to his side. "It's true. Show everyone what she's wearing underneath. She's not the innocent victim she pretends to be." The crowd's attention snapped back to Nala, curiosity and judgment simmering in their eyes. Omari's accusation had created doubt, exactly as he'd intended. "Take off your coat," he demanded. "Show everyone the truth." Nala stood perfectly still, her moment of truth approaching. Behind her blindfold, her eyes met Michael's briefly. A silent communication passed between them. "Very well," she said, calmly, her hands moving to the buttons of her coat. "Let everyone see the truth." As her fingers worked the final button, the courtyard fell silent, all eyes fixed on her. This was the moment that would change everything. Omari's smirk grew wider, anticipating her humiliation. Blessing's eyes gleamed with malicious triumph. "Show everyone what kind of woman you really are," Omari taunted. With deliberate slowness, Nala slipped the coat from her shoulders. A collective gasp rose from the crowd, but not for the reason Omari expected. Instead of the garish, inappropriate outfit they had forced upon her, Nala stood resplendent in a magnificent traditional attire, a richly embroidered burgundy and gold okay that hugged her form with dignity and grace. The intricate beadwork shimmered in the sun, scattering prisms of light. "How?" Omari stammered, his face draining of color. "That's not what we gave you to wear." Mama Aide stepped forward, eyes wide with disbelief. "Impossible! I saw what she was wearing." "Did you?" Nala asked softly. "Or did you see what you expected to see? A blind woman unable to detect your cruelty?" Michael stepped to her side, calm and steady. "Perhaps there is more that people failed to see," he said, pulling out his phone. Like the true nature of those who claim to love Nala, he pressed play. Omari's voice filled the courtyard. "A blind wife is a burden I never wanted. Tomorrow we'll replace her with you, and everyone will finally see how worthless she truly is." Blessing's voice followed. "She won't even know what hit her. The blindfold was a blessing in disguise. At least she couldn't see us together all these years." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Tears streamed from beneath Nala's blindfold. Not from shame, but grief. Guests shook their heads. Elders whispered prayers of protection. Even Omari's cousins now stepped away, distancing themselves from the dishonor. "Lies," Omari shouted. "That recording is fake." "Is it?" Michael challenged. "Should I play more? Perhaps the part about how you stayed with her out of guilt after the accident?" Omari lunged forward to grab the phone, but two of Michael's entourage blocked him. "You've ruined everything." Omari spat at Nala. "You ungrateful blind witch. I wasted 3 years of my life on you out of pity." His words echoed through the courtyard, cruel and unforgiving. Nala felt a strange calm wash over her. "Pity?" she repeated. "Is that what you call it?" With steady hands, she reached behind her head. Slowly, she untied the knot of her blindfold. The white cloth slipped away, revealing clear, focused eyes. Stunned silence settled. Then gasps. "I'm not blind, Omari," Nala said. "I haven't been blind for nearly 3 years." The courtyard erupted. Mama Ad clutched her chest. Blessing stammered, unable to form words. "3 years ago," Nala continued, addressing the gathering, "I pulled Omari from a burning car after he ran a red light. The smoke damaged my eyes. I underwent surgeries at University Teaching Hospital under my uncle's care. My sight returned in 6 months, but my family suggested a test to see if Omari truly loved me." She turned to him, eyes hard and unwavering. "For 3 years, I stumbled. I accepted pity. I wore a blindfold to test your heart. And now I have my answer." Michael stepped beside her, his hand brushing hers. The crowd stood hushed in awe. Justice had been served and truth had finally come to light.